Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 48, Week 12.
The penultimate episode. This episode's titled Icarus Time, and that was spoken by Shaheen. He had actually referenced Icarus in his preseason interview with Mike Bloom. There was no previously on Survivor, at least in the episode that we got.
Yeah.
Just went right to night 21 after Tribal Council. Time to celebrate Final Six.
What do you mean the episode we got?
Well, I don't know if it was consistent because they release, I was going to mention this in just a second anyway, but prior to the episode airing on the Survivor on CBS channel on YouTube, they'll release a sneak peek 1, sneak peek 2, sometimes even a sneak peek 3, like they did last week. And it's just an excerpt. It's the beginning of this week's episode. And those sneak peeks were different from the way this played out in what we got tonight, at least what we streamed on Paramount Plus when we were watching.
Okay. Don't know nothing about all that.
No, you asked, so I explained. I don't know if that helped or not. But yeah, celebrate Final Six. And Mitch tells us he was adamant on making it to Final Six. That's really what he's all been about. And now it's time to make a move. Someone should do a clip of him saying, now's the time to make a move, because he's been saying that, I think, since back at the merge. All right. Yeah, maybe Mitch. We'll see. Unfortunately, my USB Mitch has lost his luster.
I don't know about that.
Yeah?
We'll talk about it later on, but...
Eva tells us she's the only one with power in the game, and it feels real good, and it's going to be cut and dry from here.
Yep.
Pick them off.
Yep, she tells us why she didn't use her advantage.
No need. Got to trust. Got to demonstrate, represent the trust.
Well, and she wanted to make sure her vote was counted in there for her tribe, her team. Make sure they got the right person out.
Okay, morning 22, we see Joe and Eva and Kyle and Shaheen. And this is what was different from that sneak peek that they showed. Initially, it was just Kyle and Joe talking, and then Shaheen joined, and then Eva joined. But this, they start with them all four together.
Did you talk about for tree mail?
Just before the tree mail, yeah. And they're talking about how they're the four strong, they're the final four, and Eva wants Mitch to go next, which is certainly who we had being voted out. We thought it would follow that familiar pattern. Kyle tells us
and to be fair, I only could use Mitch one more time. So I thought, well, I'm going to put Mitch out, and then if he doesn't go, I will still have a point left because I'd already used him 5 times.
Kyle tells us he's once again at a crossroads. He needs to figure out if he's going to just slide into the end or if he's going to fire a big salvo. Slide or salvo, that's what it's about. He said he's been playing with his heart. Now it's time to play with his head. Okay, tree mail, like you're talking about. They find out they got a reward challenge, and it's going to end with a splash into the deep.
And they're fighting for good sleep and food. They tease them with that. So that as soon as they say good sleep, it's like you're either getting luxury items or you're going to be sent somewhere to sleep.
What did you think about Shaheen talking to Mitch there? He's like, I'm going to be mad if it's another arm challenge.
Oh.
Look at all the work I put into these legs. Look at these legs. They're a work of art. I need a leg challenge.
And Mitch is like, oh, well, I'll just take this opportunity to pitch to Shaheen. While he's going on about his
Made it
leg.
to 6. Time to make moves.
Well, and Shaheen seems to be questioning, well, should I go with Joe and Eva? But he truly believes And I don't know
beyond a
if he
shadow of a doubt.
Yes, I don't know if he could have sold it, but he truly believes he's played a better game than Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly why,
I like that moxie.
but hey, he was convinced of it.
And as a debate professor, he's pretty sure he can sell it to the jury.
Well, I guess what surprised me was Kamilla saying, "Now it's time to start playing." No.
Were the editors just having fun this whole time with the teases and them saying this stuff over and over again? I'm actually tired of hearing them talk about their secret alliance now when Kyle and Kamilla get together.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that it's that big of a secret, but I guess the end will tell.
Well, it must be. They're that close.
Kyle tells Kamilla that Shaheen's getting antsy and that he thinks Shaheen's playing chicken with him. Which one of them's going to take the first shot? Who's going to move first on the core strong alliance?
All right. Also, day 22, we are off to the reward.
I just want to say a couple more things about that. Kamilla talks about, just before we go to the reward, Kamilla is talking about how Joe is clearly at the top. And if they send Joe home, we've got a shot at winning individual immunity.
Okay. Nothing new there.
And then, this is really the part that I wanted to get to because I like this little section. I guess because I'm a Kamilla fan. Kyle asked Kamilla, "Are you concerned with sitting against Mitch at the end?" And she said, "No, I'm sure I can talk myself up to the jury if I end up sitting with Mitch." So she believes she can beat Mitch. She's fine going to the end with Mitch. I like that little exchange. I certainly liked her. Because we keep talking about one of us gets to the final three, and now this is her actually talking about herself. And I know it's the edit, but she's at least talking about how she's there and she beats Mitch.
Well, she might feel she can beat Kyle, too. She's just not saying it.
Yeah.
And
well, they're certainly not giving us any of that in the edit.
I'm sure that perked you up thinking that, hey, are they planning to take Mitch with them to the final three?
Well, I think a lot of people are.
Beat him?
But no, it didn't really perk me up because of that. I'm pretty sure my boy Mitch is a goat. He's a no-vote goat at this point. He just does not have a story.
He's well liked sometimes, as we know.
Yeah, well, and they clearly all, the core, see him as, plus Kamilla, see him as a threat to win.
It's about not another person vote, or not two other people vote.
Okay, back to where you were. The rain reward. Lots of alliteration.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 2-day cycle. This is day 22 with the reward challenge on 22. Immunity on 23, but first it is raining. We're getting a little horizontal rain there. It's pretty good wind right at the start of it.
Well, I didn't think Kamilla would be able to do it. She was shaking so badly.
Well, she couldn't even open both her eyes when she was riding it on the boat. She had one of them shut with the rain blowing into it. Yeah. And of course, Prope's got to talk it up. You guys really love this. Deep down, you want this struggle. You want it to be a hallmark of being here on Survivor.
Yeah, not necessarily, Jeff. We could do without,
It's enough of a challenge doing the challenge without the environmental
just being
extras.
Here is
Yeah, they were really playing it up, weren't they? Here's the camera lens covered with rain. Not like the guy's not standing by to clear the rain off of that, but they have to show it to us. Yep. Okay, so they got this steep ramp, and they've got these handholds that get progressively smaller as you have to proceed through the different stages of the challenge.
I think that last one was about 2 fingers wide for Eva.
Yeah.
Her fingers aren't as wide as, say, Joe and some of the other guys. But
I agree with Propes. This is the best reward they've had so far in the season. So they'll go to the sanctuary. They'll get burgers, fries, cheesecake. They get to sleep over, so they get pillows and blankets.
Letters from home.
And letters from home.
Okay. Now,
I'm glad they told them that.
Cheesecake look good or what?
You're getting a little ahead, but yes, it looked delicious.
No. Jeff said cheesecake. I get to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I love cheesecake. Okay. All right. So at least they set a time limit for 10 minutes for the first phase.
Yep.
So they're going to get them on over to the more painful things quicker.
Shaheen's trying to take care of those, or trying to leverage those massive muscles in those legs he was talking about earlier.
Well, he was talking about having a cyst on his wrist.
Ganglion cyst on his wrist, he said. Yeah.
Which...
You think that was true? Or was he just doing the drama?
I think he probably does, but he held on anyway, so I guess it didn't stop him.
Tight tuck. He was the one with his feet tucked up under him.
Yes.
I thought, ooh,
Feet
you're straining your
together.
knees. That's like
Together.
10 minutes of knee strain. But
That would strain your knees. It may
Yes.
not strain his
right.
legs.
The incredible specimens that they were, those legs, should have been hanging in a museum, I believe he said.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 10 minutes goes by. They all move to the second stage, and they have to do live transition. That was good.
Have we ever seen them all kind of get to the last phase before people start dropping?
I don't know. I don't recall it enough. I know we've seen this or a similar challenge to this. I think we've even had it in the 40s, but I don't know the answer to your question. Second stage is a 5-minute there, and Kamilla looks like she's asleep, and we even get some Mitch-like snores from her. Yes.
Then they go to the third
Eva's stomach's
transition.
growling so loud it picks it up on the mic.
Yeah. Third transition, even the smallest handhold. Mm-hmm. And Jeff says 4 or 5 minutes. So you know they're going to do something else after that. There's no more smaller
Right.
handholds. So they're going to do something after that to make it where they
get a
start dropping for sure.
Couple good pain face montages as we go through the
Yes.
second and the third stage. And now we move on to the fourth stage. Everyone moves on, and Camilla's promptly out. Zip, slides in, kerplunk.
Yep, they have to straighten their legs.
Straighten those legs out so you can't use your feet to prop yourself up anymore. Camilla's out. Mitch is out soon after. And then Eva disqualifies herself because she uses her feet to push herself back up, get some leverage. And for some reason, Joe drops.
Yeah, he looked like he just let go, but he had been in a lot of pain.
Yeah,
so-
we did get to see some good pain faces from him.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a showdown between Shaheen and Kyle drops. So Shaheen wins reward. Probst make sure to talk it up. Shaheen wins a challenge. First challenge win.
Wasn't immunity, but hey, you did win a challenge.
And he did it in style on his dismount.
Yes,
Did a great
yes.
dive. Yeah.
He did, so I'm glad he got that.
Shaheen tells us he's looking forward to a letter from his mom, and they had watched Survivor together as a way to reconnect. And he picks Joe, fueling Joe. Yeah.
Yes,
That seemed like an interesting choice, but yeah, he said because of Joe's kids. And then he picks Kyle to join because he's got a wedding in a month and a half after he gets back.
I don't know. Silly me, I thought he was going to choose Kamilla because, you know, they talked about their parents and what they had in common, and but nope.
That was not Shaheen's plan. Okay, off to the sanctuary, and that's where we get the first look at that creamy cheesecake. That did look good. I would have eaten a slice of that for sure.
Yeah, and you don't particularly like
I don't seek
cheesecake.
out cheesecake, no. And so they eat some food for briefly and then move right into the letters. So Joe hands out the letters. He makes sure to tease Shaheen a little bit, telling him his envelope is empty.
Okay, I do not believe Shaheen when he says he would have been happy with a cardboard plate with salt on it.
Yeah. Well, he said he hadn't eaten in a week.
Yeah.
And had a meal in a week.
Well, I'm sure it was divine. Mm-hmm. I mean, burger and fries good anytime you're just moderately hungry, but if you're starving,
yeah, it will be the best burger you've ever had in your life.
You
yeah.
betcha.
Yep. Joe gets a letter from his son. Gets pumped up from his son there. He's the bravest dad ever, and he wants Joe to believe in himself. Pretty good for, what do you say, a 9-year-old? 10-year-old. It moves Shaheen so much he goes in and gives Joe a hug.
You know, I did get caught up in all their discussions and just kind of forgot to even take notes. I was just
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I was like, oh, I forgot I'm not taking notes. And I guess I didn't really need to, but
Yep. Emotions are heightened with the letters from home for sure. Kyle gets a letter from his dad. He said his dad said something to him he didn't believe he had ever said before.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
We've seen that happen before with letters from dads on the show, where the child gets surprised by what they actually shared.
And Shaheen and Joe both, felt that their fathers would feel the same.
Yep. Joe tells us it's all about sixes. He's always looking for sixes. 6 letters in his sister's name, Joanna. And he's in the fields for sure at this point, talking about how he regrets how he wasn't able to protect her.
Well, lucky 6. He didn't go home on 6, so that's a good thing.
And he tells us that he had fought with his sister the night before she passed away, the night before she was taken. And he never heard or saw from her again. I was wondering when this story was going to come back around.
Yeah, and you knew it would. Even if it was, at the finals, if he makes it. So.
Okay, back at camp. Check in with what's going on at camp with Mitch and Kamilla and Eva.
They are really not happy with Shaheen.
Why is he feeding Joe?
Stupid it was.
Yes.
To feed Joe, give him rest.
Mitch used one of my favorite words, knucklehead.
Yes,
Shaheen is a knucklehead. Stupid bunch of knuckleheads.
And just frustrating.
Yes.
It's like,
you're supposed to be making moves at 6, not feeding the guy that's going to win the immunity challenge. The next day.
Tell you, he's not really working with you to get rid of.
There was a message there. Yes.
Hello. Or maybe he was just trying to put Joe at ease. So if he did decide to go that way, he could blindside him.
Well, there's definitely more coming. I'm looking forward to discussing just a second. But before that, Kamilla tells us in a confessional, Mitch is frustrated. And the whole idea of fueling Joe has sealed Shaheen's fate. If Joe wins, Kamilla tells us Shaheen goes.
Well, yeah, Shaheen can go home then if he lets Joe feeds him and lets him win immunity.
Eva's just bummed sitting out on the beach, and she said it feels like her brothers ditched her and left her at home
with the parents.
Who are just sitting or laying there watching TV. Cut to Kamilla and Mitch sleeping in the shelter. Okay, back to the sanctuary, and we had to go back and rewatch this. We see, because I got it wrong at first. I thought they were talking about Mitch, but they were talking about Kyle, Shaheen.
That's why I thought we should go back and re-listen to it.
Yeah. Joe and Shaheen are talking, and Joe's basically saying, look, neither one of us are going to lose to Kyle.
Yeah, I am.
Kyle wasn't with them. I'm sure he was taking a bathroom break.
Yeah, but I'm not sure why Joe thinks that. I do think that he probably does think that. And I don't think there's any doubt in his mind
it is telling.
Beat Shaheen or Kyle.
Yes, Joe thinks he's got them both beat, but for sure, Joe, and it gives us insight into how little Joe knows about what's really going on. It's just a reinforcement. We're circling on that topic in this episode for sure. So they decide, no, they're not losing to Kyle. So they can face Kyle in the final 3, and they are the final 3, according to Joe. But Mitch will be voted out next, then Kamilla, and then this will be the final
Shaheen,
3.
And Eva are final 3, Joe says. He didn't mean Kyle was final 3. He said Joe, Shaheen, and Eva.
Oh, he specifically said Eva?
I'm sure he did.
Okay.
That's what I wrote.
Gotcha.
And, but I think he thinks Kyle will go out in fire making, so I don't know if he's...
Okay, so we get a confessional from Shaheen here, where he gives us the title. He's asking himself, is this the time? Should I make a move? Is this the right time to risk it all? Is it Icarus time?
Yeah.
And he had talked about that was a problem that he had, that he would often fly too close to the sun, metaphorically. He would push things too far, overstep, and then have to course correct, at which point he would overcorrect. So he called his own death in the game, basically.
Well,
yes,
when
he chose Icarus time.
When Joe said that, it was the 4 of them. And I thought to myself, Shaheen, Joe thinks he can beat either one of you. And I'm not sure he cares which one of you goes to the to Final Three. Mm-hmm. As long as he and Eva are there, he doesn't care which one of you is.
Right. Whichever one of you wins the fire-making challenge.
I'll tell Kyle, then I'll tell you, and whichever one.
Okay, now it's Joe's turn to take a walk, and we get Shaheen and Kyle talking, and basically Shaheen makes his pitch.
Okay, here's something I'd forgotten about, where Kyle says, Shaheen searched my bag back on Vula.
Mm-hmm. He never let that go.
No, and I had obviously completely forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I thought, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was a long time ago. But, So
they're running, Shaheen wants to run scenarios. If we take out Joe at 5, then Joe becomes a big advocate for Eva. So by Shaheen's logic.
Take Eva out in 6th.
Yeah, at this next vote.
Not Mitch.
It's the ultimate trust play between Shaheen and Kyle, Shaheen tells him.
And she won't play her idol because we're going to blindside her. She's not going to see it coming.
And he acknowledges that she will be a stand for Kyle at that point. She'll be advocating for him on... She'll be stand for Joe. She'll be advocating for Joe from the jury if they make that move.
So what that tells Kyle is Shaheen is ready to make a move. That's good information.
And he needs Kyle.
Yes.
Yep.
But Kyle doesn't want to make Shaheen's move.
Right.
That's not how he wants to go with it.
Right. He sees it all as a game of chicken. And basically, this has released the moral bonds between the two of them as far as Kyle's concerned. Now he's free to act. He's just got to figure out how to do it.
Because I can say, but he said and he did this. So that released me from anything I felt to go after
magic
him.
words.
Because he's already turning on Eva.
Yep.
And so, okay.
Okay, back to the camp, and it's day 23, and we see Eva with her hair down, which I didn't recognize her at first, because she's always got her hair up and pulled back. Anyway, they return from the sanctuary, and Eva's got hugs for all 3 of them.
Well,
she's so happy to have them back.
Sitting on pins and needles. If they'd have been much longer, I expected her to head up the beach to
look
search
for them. Yeah. Kyle tells us he didn't sleep while he was at the sanctuary. He just kept running through scenarios, and he's got a plan.
Well, and there's just too much to be done.
He actually runs to catch up with Kamilla at some point there in the jungle so he can have a strategy discussion with her.
And to tell her that Shaheen's ready to flip.
Yep.
So I got a plan.
I can get us both to the final 4. That's what he says.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had mentioned that when we saw the next on, I had said, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of Shaheen, thinking that they can
make a spot.
Yeah, that she can take Shaheen's spot. However, I don't know that would be the case. Mm-hmm. But that was their plan. So
Kyle fills her in. Shaheen is ready to flip, and he's got a plan. He's going to tell Joe Shaheen's plan to get Eva out. Yeah, and he wants Kamilla to tell Joe that Shaheen had showed her the idol.
And that way they can get rid of Shaheen with no blood on their hands.
Right.
It'd be all Shaheen's fault.
And Kyle is delighted with his own plan. He says we're going to be able to get Joe to eat one of his own, and he won't even know that it's happened. They're going to frame Shaheen. Yeah. And then cut to Joe working through some more of that emotional stuff with his sister. He said, stands up and said, I think it's time.
Okay, just before you go there, let me just say that the ultimate plan that Kyle and Kamilla have is, the really sweet thing is that Joe and Eva will then feel like they saved us, we owe them. Mm-hmm. And that's what'll make him take Kamilla instead of Mitch to Final 4.
Okay. I don't think I registered all that at the time. Good catch. Okay, Joe gets a moment to talk about and celebrate his sister. He wants to be her voice, he tells us, and he needs to get some closure and start some healing. So he speaks to her, tells her that he's sorry, that he loves her, and essentially that he's able to say goodbye now.
Yeah, and that he's sorry he couldn't protect her.
So the whole final 6 thing was a trigger, the 6s,
Well,
looking
and
for
his
things in
son's-
6s.
His son's letter was the main trigger too for closure, and it was just time for some closure.
Right. Okay, on to the immunity challenge here on day 23. Probst tells us
Biggest challenge of the season so far.
so far. Yeah, I think there's going to be one more to beat it. Huh. Okay, so they got to toss a sandbag up and hit a panel that'll move when it's hit from below, because there's a monkey fist up there. So that's like a ball of cordage.
Yep.
And then some rope attached to it.
Yeah, I was wondering when we saw the photographs of that. I was like, how are they going to throw a bag up there and knock that off? That's what I thought they'd have to do. I didn't realize the top would actually move and they were just going to have to throw it
Bump it up there. Yeah.
And, bump
Easier
it off
said
that
than
way.
done, evidently, for some. Okay, so they got to toss that sandbag up and knock the monkey fist down, basically. And then they've got to anchor the monkey fist, throw it into that classic Y-shaped anchor
Yeah.
to get it to hold. And then it's a return of the barrel walk. So they're
Yep.
going to use the rope to help steady themselves as they get up on a barrel and walk over the course there.
Well, it's definitely helpful, but that's not easy to do.
Yeah, definitely not, as demonstrated.
Not easy to do.
Yep. Once they get past the barrel walk there, they're going to have to crawl under a weighted rope through the sand. They've got sandbags on the cargo net rope that they have to crawl under.
Yeah, that's
So they made that even harder.
Hurt with that.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen women get their hair
Get
caught
their
in
hair
there.
caught.
Yeah. And then at the end, there's a snake maze. So there's like a billiard ball, and you balance it on a paddle that's probably twice the size of the billiard ball. It's not very big. So it's easy for it to fall off, basically. And then it's got a little guide on the bottom of the paddle that you have to keep in contact with the snake maze as you move the paddle, which has a long handle through the maze. And there's 2 balls you got to drop
Balls
off in
two
the
little baskets.
in the baskets there.
Okay, I could not believe Eva.
That was surprising.
That was shocking. She's usually pretty good in challenges, and then when she started just throwing wild
Yeah.
up in the air, and it just was nowhere near where you think that was her getting frustrated, just throwing it
I
to
don't know, but it was really,
release
really
that
bad.
energy.
Yeah, her throwing the sandbag was pitiful. I've never ever seen her doing some physical activity that poorly.
Exactly.
It was like she
that was
had
the
no
surprise.
concept of how to throw it up above her and hit the
Yeah.
little platform to
Now,
knock
if
the
it had
monkey
been
fist
Kamilla, I
down.
wouldn't have been as surprised.
Yeah, she just
I
doesn't
mean,
come across as athletically
exactly.
skilled as
But Eva has been very good athletically, and so
And for Eva to throw it behind herself multiple times and in different
Yes.
directions behind herself was just comical.
and that she was so far behind everyone.
Yeah.
Not that she stayed that way. Once
Right.
she got past that, she made up for it.
Yeah, Mitch and Joe, speaking of going through the challenge, they made quick work of it. They got up on the barrel quickly.
Yeah,
And then
Mitch and
Shaheen,
Joe, Shaheen was first.
well, Shaheen made it all the way off first, but Mitch and Joe, I think, were on first. Yep. And Eva finally gets her monkey fist down as Shaheen finishes the barrel portion of the course.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Once Joe got up there and started on that,
After he crawled under the net, he made short work of the net, got untied the
way
2
after
balls.
Shaheen,
Yeah.
and it was like bang, first ball, Joe got it.
Really got the feel of it quickly.
Yeah, he did, and he was
Shaheen
so
and Mitch were
steady.
struggling. Kyle gets up there, starts struggling too.
I wonder if that's where his, job really helps, that calm under pressure. Is he's able to just flip a switch and
Right?
be calm.
Yes.
doing that.
Poor Kamilla.
It's
She
like,
was having a hard time. We got a couple of falls off the barrel from her.
oh, goodness.
Meanwhile, Joe's dropping the first ball in the basket there on the final portion of the challenge.
If I felt like that, I would literally be out of the game.
Yeah.
Would not have recovered.
We get some good ball drop montages there as other people are struggling, just not Joe.
I just so thought Shaheen was going to win this.
Eva caught way up. She caught
she
all the way
did.
back up. She ends up landing, her and Kyle land their first ball not too long after Joe.
Yeah,
But
once she got past that obstacle,
Throwing the sandbag
she
up
was-
above her
she just-
head
bam.
to retrieve the monkey fist.
She
Yeah.
went right through the others.
Yeah, but Joe made short work of it. He was so far ahead.
did.
Probst didn't really get to describe much of the action.
Nope. And he won, of course.
He wins, and you can see Camilla's head poking out from under the net. She never got to the table.
Yep.
Oh,
And
poor
it
Kamilla.
was Joe's fourth immunity win.
Yeah,
That's pretty good on a resume.
yep. It means he has a shot at the big 5 wins, and it means that he's on to Final 5.
Andy says, I did it for JoJo. So, all right. No
Kamilla
Joe
reminds us.
going home.
Kamilla reminds us one more time that Knucklehead Shaheen fed Joe and made this all possible.
He was
She-
fed and well rested.
Just totally,
Just smoked us.
totally blames it on Shaheen. Yeah.
Well, you know, there is some truth to that. I don't know that Shaheen thought that completely through, other than, you know, he was leaning toward Joe taking him with, you know, not targeting him. So.
Okay, back at camp here on day 23, and Kyle tells us it's time to put the plan in action.
But that it's going to be harder to sell it to Joe since he's got that necklace around.
Riding on that high from winning immunity.
Yep.
Now or never, Kyle says. So he catches Joe when Joe's out bringing some wood in. He says, don't freak out, like we saw on the next time on Survivor. Shaheen has flipped. And Kamilla said that Shaheen showed her an immunity idol that he hasn't told us anything about.
I like the way Joe just didn't know where to go with that information. And that he just said, look, give me 30 minutes. I just got to process.
Even before that, he mirrored it back.
Yes.
He made sure to mirror back,
Now
recap
let me
it.
make sure I heard you correctly.
Yeah, Shaheen is plotting to
'Cause
knock off
this is
me or
blowing my
Eva.
mind.
That's what he shared with you at Sanctuary. Meanwhile, Joe tells us he's studying Kyle's body language,
Yep. He's not
checking for
trusting
eye
him.
contact. He's asking the really important question, why is what Kyle's telling me, is it true?
You
Could
know
this
why
be
he
a
really
lie?
needed the time?
Why is that?
So he could go talk to Eva about it.
Yeah, of course. He immediately checks in with his number one, Eva.
Yep.
Kyle says Shaheen has flipped. And then Joe says he's being careful. Allegedly,
Yeah.
Shaheen has flipped. And
But
Kamilla saw an idol.
But Eva says she trusts Kyle more.
Yeah.
That was good to hear.
Yeah. Trust your gut, that it always serves you right.
Well, and Eva said, well, Shaheen knows he can't beat you or me.
Uh-huh.
It's like, ooh.
I don't know about that, Eva. Yeah, I think he could have beat you. But Eva says it's a punch in the gut nonetheless.
And Joe talks to Kamilla. She confirms what Shaheen allegedly told her, and that said, but he showed me some beads, and said that, we can't go against Joe and Eva, and they don't need to do that.
Time for that famous acting. Joe's been put under this spell before and fell for it.
Yep.
Yes, Kamilla corroborates the story, and she tells us this is her favorite part. Throwing him under the bus, backing up over him, and running over him again and again.
Well,
It's just fun.
he seemed, meaning Joe, more skeptical about Kyle lying than Kamilla.
Yes, even though it might be that Joanna was trying to warn him.
Because what was that? Was that a coconut that fell or a limb?
No, it was a limb off a palm tree, fell right behind her.
It's like, she's lying.
Yes, liar, right here. Don't fall for it, Joe.
No, not little Kamilla.
Yeah,
She's sweet.
and not a threat
And
whatsoever.
even Kamilla said, though, she's given Kyle all the credit for this idea. She's like, I wouldn't have even thought of
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And that's big because she's thought of a lot and done a lot. And Kyle's been impressed with her. But this time, the tables were turned and she was very impressed with his. It was not an easy task, but.
Speaking of being impressed, what did you think of Joe's interrogation of Shaheen? Joe tells Shaheen, well, there was a simple plan this morning.
I think that Joe did end up lying. He says he doesn't lie. Shaheen said, "Are we okay?" And Joe paused, and then he said, yeah, we're.
Joe tells us he is in dad mode. He's giving Shaheen an opportunity to come clean.
Fess up. Tell me what you did. Didn't work very good because Shaheen didn't know what the heck. Though, I think because Joe got so paranoid just before the last tribal council, he just thought
2
Joe
days
was going
ago.
off the
Yeah.
2 days ago. He just thinks he's really getting paranoid every time we have to go to tribal council again. And I think he was just really getting annoyed. Like he said, you're treating me like I pooped in your pancakes or something.
Right.
Which was a weird phrase, Shaheen. But okay.
Shaheen realizes something's going on, but he can't tell quite what.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he didn't suspect more.
Yeah.
Though, as we noticed, everybody wanders along. Eva wanders along and lets Shaheen, complain to her. And she,
Joe pissed me off.
And then,
And to Kamilla.
here comes Kamilla. And then here comes Kyle. And he just gets to talk. And Joe, blah, blah, blah.
Joe's acting like he's going to vote me out, he tells Kyle.
And Kyle's like, oh, he's not going to.
Kyle tells us in a confessional, I had to sit here and run scenarios with him as I'm plotting to get him voted out. That was a test for sure right there.
It was, and I'm sure it was difficult.
So
but
Shaheen resolves when he's talking to Kyle, he says, yeah, we need to go ahead and vote Mitch out because we don't want, if we vote Eva out, she's just going to be advocating for Joe in the jury. So let's go ahead and take out Mitch
Kyle
tonight.
just agreed with whatever Shaheen wanted.
Keep it together, Kyle.
Yep, Mitch it is. You betcha. You want Mitch? Mitch it is. And I thought, oh, Shaheen.
We see Mitch talking to Kamilla out on the beach, and he's got the plan. He says, yeah, vote Shaheen out. That's what he wants to do. He wants to take Shaheen's spot.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, but so does Kamilla.
Wow, it really seemed like Joe might have sussed everything out because we see him talking to Eva and he asks the big question, what if Kamilla and Kyle plan this? What if it's all just a bunch of BS? And Joe tells us he needs time to think it through. But of course, that's the one thing he doesn't have at this point.
Exactly. There is no time, Joe.
He knows something's cooking here. He just doesn't know who's behind it. He asks, is it Kyle? Is it Kamilla? Is it Shaheen? And he tells us he's going to figure out at tribal council. So I thought, this could all fall apart at tribal council if he starts being blunt, direct, questioning of Shaheen and Kyle, and he checks their stories against each other in that public forum. This could all blow up in Kyle's face.
Yep, and Camilla's. Actually, I think probably Kamilla would have been the one to go because
She would have caught all the flack.
Kyle would have, Kyle could legitimately say, well, I just told you what Kamilla told me. I didn't know.
I had this conversation with Shaheen at the sanctuary. This is what was said.
Shaheen couldn't deny that.
Right. And then, he
Not truthfully.
might have been in his best interest at that point. But
Yeah.
And then, when Kamilla told me that he had showed her the idol, I put these things together.
Took over. And he did tell me he wanted Eva.
So I was looking forward to how Joe was going to work this out at tribal council.
And what was all that? Are we going to tribal council now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because what was all that with the edit, drowning out the words?
Oh, he's just going to jump right to that part.
I am, yes.
Okay, so that was supposedly Joe figuring it out. So as Kyle's talking, we hear Kyle answering Prope's questions. Joe's looking at him. He's studying him. And then
body language.
it pushes Kyle's voice into the background.
Yes.
Drowns him out with a sound, I guess representative of Joe's analytical abilities.
Not really hearing that's what it said.
At first you said was he's tuning him out.
Really hearing what Kyle is saying. He's focusing more on
how he's saying it,
his body language.
Cut to Shaheen, and it's the same thing. You hear Shaheen talking at first, and then as Joe's focused on him, then Shaheen's voice drops into the background.
Yeah, but Shaheen was saying more things that, before we came out here, I was ready to cut people's throats and,
Realized you can't say that once you're in the game.
Well, and not when Joe's looking for that.
Right.
He was good. He said that. He said it himself. Right there, he's going to cut people's throats. Yep, that's what he was going to do to Eva. You're out of here.
Yeah.
So, but the interference from the edit, I mean, okay, it made it a little entertaining and this and that, but part of me objects to, I don't know, that much. It wasn't real.
Right. If you have the closed captions on, which we always do because the sound mix is such a mess
and
with this show.
Can't hear good.
Yeah. Then you could continue to make out what Kyle and Shaheen were saying.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyway, that, I don't know, that bothered me a little. So, okay.
Yeah, I guess my takeaway was Kyle ended with talking about trust, and Shaheen ended with talking about paranoia. And they've been anti-paranoia. They just didn't want, that was something they've been guarding against in the Strong Four. So Shaheen ended on the wrong note was how I took that.
Yeah. Well, and Mitch told Jeff the game hasn't played out like I wanted.
Ah, now you're going back to the beginning.
I am.
Okay.
I had to say that. I had to get that out.
Yeah. He started laughing. I
well-
thought he had tripped himself up laughing at first.
Who?
It's like, Mitch, why are you laughing? Why are you getting caught laughing?
Well, I kind of liked what Eva had to say, that, she got through it all by trusting the others. And that she feels like she trusted them and they've returned that trust.
Yeah, she's kind of got one note. That's her whole thing. But
but it was nice. It was sweet.
Simple and it works. Yeah.
And Kyle admits that having personal relationships does make it harder.
Certainly has for Kyle. Brought him to tears on more than one occasion.
And Kamilla takes the opportunity to tell us that I don't create chaos. She said, I'm not chaotic. I'm very level-headed, and this is
I return to my
the
trust
game.
group.
Yes.
She didn't say alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought she's pitching already, pitching herself as a replacement. And, that's when Shaheen said all of his stuff. And he also talked about and how quickly things can change out here. I thought that would be another red herring to Joe, I think.
Big takeaway. We were expecting Joe to get into some real heavy detective questioning, and that is not what we were given.
Suss it out.
Yeah, we were given a funny move their voices to the background edit, and that was somehow representative of Joe's analytical powers. But they had the vote set. They knew Shaheen was going
all along. Remember how he let people choose who they were going to pair up with, so he could sit back and watch who they chose and analyze it.
So he told us, but we were also told that he chose Eva right out of the gate. Didn't?
Yeah, but
that was a little misrepresented in the edit.
Somewhat, but still the goal was the same. He wanted to see. He knew why he chose Eva, so he figured if they do the same type of thing, then he really needs to look at who's who and who's with who.
Yeah.
Kyle and Kamilla were too smart for you.
Yes. Well, and
They didn't show
Shaheen
you.
played right into it by choosing Kamilla. Yeah.
Exactly.
That was all David needed to see.
Didn't help Kamilla any, but
Okay, time to vote. Joe struggles with his vote. I think that was just for the camera. They all knew how they were voting.
Well, and Shaheen talked about there's a very fine line between paranoia and trust.
Right. Again, Kyle emphasized coming back to trust, and Shaheen ended on the paranoia note. So maybe that was all Joe needed to hear. I guess that's what they were trying to show us.
And Joe says basically all he can do is think logically and move forward.
1 vote for Shaheen, 1 vote for Mitch, 2 votes for Mitch, now 2 votes tied for Shaheen. Shaheen knows something's up.
Yep.
3 for Shaheen, 4 for Shaheen, and he is voted out.
Writing on
Which
the
shocked
wall.
Chrissy. She had a bit of an outburst.
Yeah, I think they were all a little surprised. But
Yep.
I do not understand why Kamilla voted for Mitch.
Yeah, unless it's some kind of cover.
Unless they were trying to well, maybe Shaheen does have something. Or maybe because Joe and if Joe believed, Joe and Eva's like, well, if he does have an idol, we have to put a couple of votes on Mitch. We can't just vote for Shaheen. So we'll just throw a couple votes over there. I don't know, in case somebody does something.
Or she had to
Somebody
play
else
along and they
betrays or-
didn't tell her about the Shaheen
Yeah,
vote.
we did think about that too. That
That
maybe,
they told her to vote that Mitch was going, and so that's how she voted.
maybe she's not supposed to know
Right.
that Kyle tells her things. So if they don't want her to be.
So what did you
aware.
think? We finally got some action.
We did. Okay.
Clearly, we didn't think we were that was a red herring with the Shaheen thing on Next Time on Survivor.
Yeah.
Neither one of us had him going, but indeed he did go.
I had him safe.
You even had him safe. You went extremely bold.
Though I did go between him and Joe. Which one? I had to choose one of them, and I thought, well, I'm not going to put Joe safe because, they were pointing at Shaheen, which made me think, it won't happen when they point at him.
So
But
finally, someone's taken action. This is 3 episodes now. We've been waiting on that. They've talked about it and rug pulled us twice.
and it
now
was Kyle and Kamilla.
a blind side, and they've got it working.
I liked it. I was surprised at how well Shaheen took that. And he's like, he wanted a hug from everyone.
Yes.
And to Joe, he said, y'all took the best player out, and y'all know it.
Yeah. Of course y'all did that.
No,
I thought he said it to Kyle. It was to Joe.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Joe.
Oh,
I
okay.
could be wrong.
Well, I guess he was saying it to all of them. It doesn't matter who he was hugging at the time, right?
Yeah, maybe. But I think he was more saying it to
On the
Joe.
way out, he got one more Owaka.
Yes, he did. But he seemed cheery, not so much later on, but
Yeah, on the way out, he covered pretty good. Okay, we are down to the final 5. We got 2 more challenges, 2 more tribal councils, and a fire making challenge, and then the final tribal council. What do you think about our final 5?
I kind of miss that Shaheen's not there because I really did like him. But I am happy about seeing the game, shaken up as
Right.
well.
Do you think Joe?
I like the final 5.
Do you think Joe is going to be satisfied? Think that he indeed made the right call?
I don't know. I think he's still going to be watching them. And I will not be surprised if Joe tries to insist that they take Mitch with them instead of Kamilla.
Okay.
I mean, they had said before, Mitch would go before Kamilla, but...
Right.
And especially if Kyle's pushing it or something. So, I don't know. We'll see how that plays
Is
out.
it too little, too late? Because, okay, yeah, you've got
Maybe.
Kyle, Mitch, and Kamilla, 3 against 2, Joe and Eva. But if
But they
either
have to
Joe
lose.
or Eva wins, they both go on to Final 4.
That's right.
Because she'll
She's got
play
an
the idol.
and if-
Yeah, she'll make sure they both go forward.
Well, and she has to play it at Final 5 or let it go. But why wouldn't she play it? And so the odds are she or Joe will win, but maybe not. We can hope not. But come on, it's...
Do you think Joe's going to get 5? I think it's absolutely possible that he gets a 5th win in immunity.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what you were asking. That's certainly within the realm of possibilities and even probabilities. But yeah, how many more challenges?
2.
2.
Got the final 5, the final 4.
Definitely could. And they may not be able to get him.
Right.
I think they waited too late myself, but...
Okay, yeah, that was the question. I'm curious what other super fans think about that part too. We'll get there in just a minute.
Well, that's just the thing. Joe and Eva will have to keep themselves in at this point. Because why wouldn't Kyle
And it looks like
Kamilla
like the final 5 challenge. We get to see 2 stages of it in the next time on Survivor.
However,
We'll do next time now.
your boy Mitch might be looking pretty sweet because he could be your swing vote. You know, it could be Kyle and Kamilla and Joe and Eva, and Mitch decides who to go with.
At final 5, yeah. But if either one of them win, they're both off the table. So you're not really deciding anything. Then those 3 have to eat each other.
Yep.
Next time on Survivor, we get Joe saying, "This is it. It's electric." And then probably the most interesting part of the 4 things said is Kamilla. My best shot is if we don't sit next to each other. I assumed she was talking about at the end.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily.
The final tribal. Maybe she meant something else?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but it could be something else. I wouldn't have thought they'd be showing that, but I don't know. I think by the time you get to final tribal, it doesn't matter who you're sitting next to.
Camilla's the only one who says substance here. It does. It can be huge who you're sitting next to at final tribal council.
They all get to an opportunity, so to say what they think. So I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal at the final tribal. But
this could motivate Kyle to make sure she's not sitting next to him. That's really what that could mean. Is this the dissolution of their hidden duo?
Yeah, could be.
We get classic stuff from Mitch. Hearts are going to be broken. And Eva, it's an epic showdown. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Who's your pick? Who wins?
I don't know.
You going to go with Kyle?
Kyle.
Yeah.
Since he's
get
my
the big points.
USB 24.
He has a chance to still be there. Yeah.
Which wouldn't help my score, but well, it would help it, but
sure. You can actually completely turn your score around at the end. There's so many points up for grabs.
Yeah, hey, if I can get 1 point ahead of you, I'm happy. But right now, you're 1 point ahead.
Okay, let's do a JSFL update. Speaking of which.
Alrighty. Okay, Scary is still in first.
Holding on.
With 56 points.
Yeah.
58 people lost their USB. 190 people, including me, lost a safe point this week. And 47 people earned a vote-off point.
Aha.
In the side challengers, congratulations, Parker is in first with 52 points.
Okay.
51, Robert and Stacy. 50, Jeremiah and Lisa Ray. 49, Rebecca. 48, Justin. 47, Johnny. 46, Anderson. And 43, Drew.
Let's see. I remember Drew had just made it in to the 40s the prior week. So you said 43. So he had a 3-point week. Ooh,
he did.
That's rough. But thank you, Drew. We do salute you. We appreciate you.
Oh, Drew's played long enough. He knows that means nothing. It all depends on the final score.
We'll see what Drew can come up with,
And you can see what you come up with.
Yeah.
Because I know there have been times you don't get any points in the final.
Yes.
And everybody else gets, 50 plus.
Go screaming by you. Yeah.
You get the 50 points for just the, I'm at 50 points right now. There's 50 points up for grab with the final 4.
Right, with getting the order right.
Another 5 if you've got all your safes for the 5th spot.
Yep.
And then whether you have a 5, 10, or 24 point USB. So there's a lot of points available.
Yes.
So the scores right now mean very little.
Could change dramatically.
Absolutely could and usually does. It's very rare that it doesn't. So hang in there. don't forget to make your picks, because it's not over till it's over. But I like the 5 of them. I would see them as deserving, but I really feel Mitch hasn't done as much as the others. So
Yeah, just had no
but
agency.
If he gets there, good on you, Mitch.
No opportunity.
You tried hard. You did great in team challenges, and you've tried your best to get in and get people to make moves with you. So,
Unfortunately, that doesn't count for anything with a jury normally. There's a possibility that he could get a not you vote from the other 2 people he's sitting
I
by.
love Mitch vote in. Mm-hmm. He gets my vote because I like Mitch.
Yeah, but really it's a not you and not you. I don't think Mitch or Eva are going to get any votes. I'm most interested in, is Kamilla and Kyle going to be able to make it in?
Yeah, and I actually think it would hurt them to be in there together.
I don't know
Don't you?
yet.
They're going to fight. They'll have to fight each other at that point.
Sure.
So,
And they were together the whole time. So talk
Yeah.
about loyalty.
I think that
There's
that
not
will
gonna be
even harder.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a greater demonstration of loyalty if they did both make it in there.
Yeah, and what about Joe? Is he really going to encourage an Eva win? I'm not thinking. Now that he's there, is it enough just to be seen as the hero and those things? Or that's a lot of money, and he's got kids to raise. So,
I'm not sure what point you're making. Are you pro Joe or anti Joe there?
Neither. I'm saying, will he give up his game like he said before and encourage the jury to vote for Eva instead?
Oh, I see.
Or will he actually present his own case and let Eva present hers?
Yeah, and say, well, my goal was to get us both here, and now we're here, and
Well,
I'm not
I don't
sure
like
that does he have a
got
fan?
us both here.
Does he have a fan in the jury? Do you see a vote for Joe in the jury right now?
Let's see. Mary might vote for him. Because she couldn't beat him.
Yeah.
She couldn't get anybody to turn on him. He's a nice guy. Cedric, I think
Cedric
liked
might.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Do you think Shaheen would turn around and vote for him?
Chrissy might, because she'd be mad at the other people because nobody would get together with her to vote him off. So she might go, fine, he got here, let's give it to him.
Okay.
So
I think that's weak.
David,
Yeah.
who knows?
No on David. David was betrayed. He's been making a big thing out of
give
that.
It to Joe.
Yeah.
Unless he connects more with Joe is like me.
I don't think Star will either, because,
I have no idea what Star will do.
well, they held her to the outside from the beginning, so I think she would have some resentment over that, probably.
Could be, but
Wouldn't work with her. Wouldn't bring her in.
well,
I don't know. I think you just got to give Mary some other option, and then she would vote for that person.
yeah, I don't know. I think it could
Likewise,
be all over the
Shaheen.
place.
Shaheen's not going to figure out what happened. But if either Kyle or Kamilla get there and sit against Joe and get to lay out what just happened,
Yes, then
They win.
I don't know. I don't know that Shaheen will vote for him.
yeah, but that doesn't matter. But actually, he will.
Might.
He would go, oh my goodness, that is so brilliant. I can't believe you two pulled that off.
And
I
thought
can't
of
believe you fell for it,
before
Joe.
I did.
Yeah. And Kyle would say, yeah, you gave me the idea for it.
So I
And
don't
then
know.
when-
I don't know if this is going to be a jury that respects their secretive game and their, because there's been so much emphasis on honesty and trust and, or if they're, now Chrissy, we know will respect it.
No,
I think she would.
no. She
Yes,
clearly
because they
said
were.
no, that's not how you play Survivor. She didn't respect that. She knows it's a stupid way
You're
to
not
play.
hearing what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
What I'm telling you is she would respect Kyle and Camilla's game.
Oh, yes. Because that's how you play Survivor.
Exactly my
Yes.
point.
So the whole loyalty, honesty, integrity thing, pfft, That's out the
She was
window.
like, I thought they were all the way in there, and they were partially in there, but they were still working underneath.
They're also original Siva, so that might count for something.
Maybe.
With her, it gives her another reason, I guess.
I would.
Okay, who wins if somehow Eva and Joe get eliminated, and it's Kyle, Kamilla, and Mitch at the end?
Wow. I honestly don't know.
I think Kyle takes it.
Maybe because he's more out there.
Well, he came up
didn't
with the
see
Shaheen
as
plan.
much from Kamilla, but yeah, he came up with the final nail in the coffin. Maybe, unless it doesn't go anywhere, and it gets him voted out next. But which it could if Joe figures out, or if Kamilla ever decides to turn on Kyle.
It could be a serious puzzle at the end of the Final Five challenge after all that physicality, because they showed us the first two stages of it, and the next time on Survivor, there's the classic cargo net climb where they got to go up and then come back down, and then there's crawling through the cargo net in the mud. So there's a mud stage again. They're going to get covered in mud in that. So with all that physicality, it could end with a puzzle, and Kamilla could end up winning that challenge.
Well, and that would be her second individual immunity win. So that would be something on her resume as well. But I actually think Kyle and Kamilla would do better if only one of them's in there.
Yeah.
And the other one is telling the jury what they did.
All the incredible things that they did.
All the miraculous, because they'll have a lot more time to sit and talk about,
Yeah.
but Carl and I were doing this. You have no idea.
Going all the way back to New Vula.
Camilla did this.
New
you have
Vula.
no idea. She did all this and came up with these ideas.
Right.
So I would hope that if either one of them got to the jury and didn't make it to the final, that they would really support the other one. And I think they both would.
Oh, yeah.
But
They got a mutual
I just
admiration society.
do not know how well it will go if they're both telling their story. Who do you pick then? Like you said, I do think Kyle, they've seen more, maybe. He's been more visible, but maybe not. Maybe we just think that. And because she's been working the other side.
Right.
too.
She had more interaction with Mary, more with Star, more.
Yep.
I
Well, even
don't know about
more
David, but certainly with Chrissy and the original tribe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and she seemed to be well liked.
Yeah, not David. David and Kyle were close, but Kyle betrayed David, so
Yeah.
I'm sure he's dead to him in the jury.
Alrighty. So, we never know till it, but I'm not sure that would somehow I think that could clash. For Camilla's going to have to try to sell her moves, and Kyle's going to have to sell his moves. I mean, they were great together, but I don't know how they will fight against each other because they do also have emotions and a connection. And he respects some of the awesome moves she made, and she respects the awesome move he made. And that she talked about tonight.
Again, Mitch is going to have no story against that. Mitch has a better shot if he sits with Joe and Eva. Then he might win.
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know about winning, but
No, he would win because it would be a not Joe vote. I don't think Eva's getting any votes because her social game is just garbage.
yeah, I don't think Eva, and I think they know that Eva could have gone out that one challenge if not for Joe, to be there for her. And that they felt like they were each other's crutch, but a lot that Joe took care of her, and brought her along. So I think even though she's played wonderfully well in the challenges and everything, I just
Well, except for this
don't
last one. That was
think
pretty
they
pitiful.
would want to give, that one. They would want to give it to her over Joe if Joe's there. So
It almost always comes down to the social game. Yeah.
I actually think Joe would probably even beat Mitch. Yeah, well,
We'll have to agree to disagree.
we will.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know who wins between Kamilla and Kyle, but of course I would say Kyle since he's my USB. But and like I said, he's been closer with Joe. But if Joe were on the jury, would Joe vote for Kyle?
After Kyle explains what he did and how he got this over on him, yeah.
I don't know. Would he, or would he be hurt and bitter? I don't know. I mean, he might be upset with Kamilla, but he wasn't as invested in her.
Joe knows. I don't think Joe's a bad loser. He knows how to lose. It's not like he likes it or anything, but he's played so much sports that he knows when someone gets the better of him. So
yeah, well, Eva's been very out there, and I'm pretty sure Joe feels the same way, that no one could go up against them and beat them. Either
that's
one
what
of
he's
them.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I think they fully believe that, but I don't know.
But
that
they've
that's
been
true.
isolated, and they isolated themselves.
I actually would have liked to have heard how Shaheen would have pitched himself in a final three.
Yeah, I bet he'll cover
getting
it
to hear that. Yeah, I'm hoping he will.
in his interview. So,
yeah, that's what I was hoping to. But
Okay, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought. Is this too little, too late, or is there still a shot for Kyle and Kamilla to dominate? If you'd like to join us in the next listener feedback show, you can call the voicemail line 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio comment and attach it, or just type up a quick email message and send it to us at joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Eastern time on Saturdays. We ask that you keep it in the 3-minute range. Looking forward to hearing your assessment of the Castaways. Is there any big flip-flop given what happened? How happy are you with seeing a move finally after all the rug pulls? Who's impressing you the most? Who do you think's playing the best? Who's going to go out at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Give us your order for the win.
yeah, definitely need help with that one.
Come be a part. We are having a blast on the listener feedback shows, and we'd love to have you join us. Anything else?
I think that's all.
Have a good one.